Tigittuaq. My name is Warren Jones. My Inupiaq name is Maaruk. I'm a BSNC shareholder. I grew up with my dad's side of the family, Tommy Herman in Nome, Alaska, and my mom is Beatrice Herman from Hooper Bay. So the space that we're in the Alaska Native Heritage Center, and we're in the Men's House exhibit. What is a Qasġiq? A Qasġiq was a traditional institution that existed in our communities prior to contact. It was a really central and important institution in the community, and it played roles in everything from social activities to religious activities to economic. What the Qasġiq looked like I think varied a little bit from community to community, but in general it was just like a sod structure that was reinforced with wood, generally large enough to hold all the men in the community or even hold the whole community at once for meetings and dances and things like that. At least in all the stories I heard, it was the church themselves that directed that the Men's House be torn down and that they stopped dancing and they didn't like the things that happened in there. And I feel like we just missed out on so much. It really got me thinking too, again, about like modern day examples, that there are lots of like little spaces in our communities that I think are like, kind of like echoes of it. It actually persisted as an institution long after the building itself went down. Like they had them tear down the building, that even after they tore down the building, that all the elders and the older men in the community would get all the young men together, and they would bring them out on the land and they would teach them the lessons and teach them the things that they would normally teach them in the Qasġiq. So it's like, what does it mean to be a man? And that was a place where that was taught, and it was taught in a different way. And it was modeled, more importantly, I think. The idea of like Inuit masculinity and what that meant to be a man in our culture versus like the idea of Western masculinity, which is very like kind of bravado, macho, tough guy, no emotion, sort of thing, whereas our perspective, masculinity was about, number one, about awareness, about being aware of yourself, understanding yourself, and being aware of your role in your family and your role in your community. And then just imagine if we had communities that were filled with, men that were balanced better, because I mean, it's not even just in terms of like domestic violence and sexual violence, but even like fathers and brothers and uncles, and like how different even my life would have been if I had all those people in my family that were healthy. Sometimes when I talk about this, people are like, well, what about the women? And I was like, well, that's their business. So I'll stick to ours. So. The Alaska Art Alliance to me is an example of like a modern day men's house. It doesn't cover all the roles that the traditional men's house played, but it does cover a lot of them. There's tools for everybody to work with. There's a lot of people working, and they're all working together towards a common goal.
We're mostly Inupiaq artists here. They're 15, 20-year veteran artists from Anchorage. And so we bring them here to have a place to carve every day. We open up every day and make sure they're taken care of, and none of their stuff is, we don't move any of their stuff around or anything, so.
It's a place to come in, they create their artwork, they generate their income. It satisfies their need for, let's say, housing or basically even food, it's simple survival, A big part of it is over here is that it's a clean and sober place to come in. You really can't show up and be partied out, or, it's all about the therapeutic part of it is really it's a daily event to show up and create your artwork.
We have a few elders that are here too, and some of the younger guys help the elders with like transportation.
One of the first steps was really just to organize, like who in your community, are the men, that would be part of this. How do you create physical spaces, like the actual physical space for this stuff to occur in?